Spot fake respect. How to tell when someone only pretends to respect you. Respect is easy to fake when someone needs something from you. The harder truth is that real respect usually becomes visible when there is nothing to gain. Someone can smile at you, agree with you, call you a friend, and still treat your presence as something they can use whenever it suits them. That is why respect cannot be measured by words alone. You have to watch what happens when your needs, your boundaries, or your opinions become inconvenient. One of the clearest signs is inconsistency. A person may speak warmly to you when other people are watching, then dismiss you when nobody is around. They may praise your intelligence in public, but interrupt you constantly in private. They may say they value you, yet repeatedly ignore your time, your limits, or your decisions. That difference matters. Real respect does not need an audience. A simple example can make this clear. Imagine two co-workers. One listens when you disagree, even when they think your idea is wrong. The other becomes friendly whenever they need your help, but the moment you say no, their attitude changes. Both may use polite words. Only one is showing respect. The important thing is not whether someone is nice to you when everything goes their way. Watch how they behave when you stop giving them exactly what they want. That is where fake respect often begins to crack. More than 500 years ago, Niccolo Machiavelli spent a great deal of time thinking about how people behave when power, fear, loyalty, and self-interest are involved. One useful lesson from his work is that appearances and reality are not always the same thing. Someone can appear loyal while acting in a way that serves only themselves. That idea is useful far beyond politics. In ordinary life, people sometimes respect what you provide rather than who you are. They respect your money, your connections, your usefulness, your attention, or your willingness to solve their problems. Remove the benefit, and suddenly the relationship feels different. This is why one of the best ways to understand respect is to observe what happens when you become less useful. Not rude, not cold, just less available. If someone only treats you well when you are helping them, the relationship may have been built around your usefulness rather than mutual respect. Think about a friend who always calls when they need advice, money, transportation, contacts, or emotional support. Whenever you need something, they suddenly become busy. You may have spent months calling that friendship loyal because they were always around. But availability is not the same as respect. Sometimes what looks like friendship is simply access. Another sign is how someone handles your boundaries. You do not need to make dramatic boundaries to test this. Simple ones are enough. Say you cannot do something. Say you need time. Say you disagree. Say you do not want to discuss something. A respectful person may be disappointed, but they can still accept your answer. Someone who only pretends to respect you may suddenly become irritated, sarcastic, pushy, or insulting. The moment you stop cooperating, they act as though you have betrayed them. That reaction tells you something. They may not have respected your freedom. They may have respected your obedience. There is a big difference. Respect says, you are allowed to make your own choice. Control says, you are valuable to me as long as you make the choice I want. Once you understand that difference, many relationships become easier to read. Another clue is how they treat your mistakes. Nobody respects someone who never makes mistakes. Real respect leaves room for human weakness. A person who respects you can criticize your behavior without trying to destroy your dignity. They can say, that was wrong, without turning it into, you are worthless. Fake respect often disappears when you fail. Someone who constantly praises you when you succeed may suddenly mock you when you struggle. They like the version of you that made them feel proud, powerful, or successful by association. Real respect is more stable. It does not mean someone will approve of everything you do. In fact, genuine respect often includes honest disagreement. A person who respects you does not need to flatter you. They can tell you the truth. They can challenge your thinking. They can disagree without trying to humiliate you. This is important because many people confuse praise with respect. Praise is about approval. Respect is about how someone treats your dignity, choices, time, and place in the relationship. Someone can praise you every day and still disrespect you. Someone can disagree with you and still respect you deeply. Watch how they speak about you when you are not there. This is another powerful clue, although you should avoid becoming paranoid about every conversation you hear. The goal is not to assume everyone is talking about you. The goal is to notice patterns. Does someone constantly embarrass you in front of others? Do they reveal private information for laughs? Do they make you the joke whenever they need attention? Do they reduce your achievements so they can feel bigger? One careless comment does not prove anything. A repeated pattern does. That distinction matters because psychology becomes dangerous when every small behavior is treated as evidence of a hidden motive. A person being quiet does not automatically mean they dislike you. Someone disagreeing with you does not automatically mean they disrespect you. A delayed message does not prove manipulation. Look for consistency. One signal is a clue. A repeated pattern is stronger evidence. And direct communication is stronger still. This prevents you from turning social awareness into suspicion. There is another form of fake respect that is harder to notice: conditional respect. This happens when someone treats you well only while you remain beneath them, behind them, or useful to them. Maybe they respect your opinion until you become more successful than they are. Maybe they support your goals until your progress makes them uncomfortable. Maybe they treat you well until you become confident enough to disagree. This is where competition can expose the truth. A person who respects you can celebrate your growth without needing to shrink themselves. Someone who only pretends to respect you may become strangely negative when you improve. Your success changes the way they speak. Your confidence bothers them. Your independence becomes a problem. Your boundaries suddenly make you difficult. This is not always jealousy. Sometimes people simply struggle when the relationship changes. That is why you should look for repeated behavior rather than rushing to label someone. But there is a useful question to ask. Do they respect me? Or do they respect the version of me that is easiest for them to control? That question can change the way you see relationships. Because sometimes the problem is not that someone has no respect for you. It is that they have become comfortable with having too much access to you. You answer every call. You explain every decision. You apologize even when you did nothing wrong. You keep helping after they stop helping you. You tolerate jokes that hurt you because you do not want conflict. Over time, the other person may learn that your boundaries are flexible. And when boundaries are never enforced, people may stop treating them as real. This does not mean you should become aggressive. You do not need to threaten anyone. You do not need to prove that you are powerful. In fact, one of the strongest responses to fake respect is often very simple: become clear. If someone interrupts you constantly, calmly finish your point. If someone repeatedly ignores a boundary, repeat the boundary without a long emotional speech. If someone insults you and calls it a joke, you can simply say that you do not find it funny. If someone expects constant access to your time, start deciding when you are actually available. The goal is not to punish them. The goal is to give them accurate information about how you expect to be treated. And then watch what happens. This is where behavior becomes more informative than promises. A person who values the relationship may adjust. They might not change perfectly or immediately, but they will usually show some effort to understand the boundary. A person who only respected your usefulness may become angry because your boundary has removed the benefit they were receiving. That reaction is information. Not proof of everything, but information. There is also a quieter form of disrespect, being ignored when your presence no longer serves a purpose. Some relationships are built around convenience. Someone talks to you when they are bored. They remember you when they need help. They invite you when they need another person. They disappear when you need support. Over time, you begin to notice that the relationship has no balance. Healthy relationships do not have to be perfectly equal every day. Sometimes one person gives more because the other is struggling. That is normal. The question is whether there is a pattern of one-sidedness. Respect has room for imbalance during difficult seasons. It does not require permanent exploitation. This is why you should stop asking only, "Does this person like me?" A better question is, "How does this person treat me when liking me is inconvenient?" That is where character becomes easier to see. Someone can like you and still disrespect you. Someone can disagree with you and still respect you. Someone can be friendly and still be using you. Someone can be distant and still have deep respect for you. The behavior matters more than the label. And this brings us to one of the most important lessons. Do not spend your life trying to force respect from people who have already decided that your boundaries do not matter. Respect cannot be begged into existence. You can communicate clearly. You can behave with dignity. You can become more dependable, more skilled, more disciplined, and more confident. But you cannot control another person's character. What you can control is your access, your time, your attention, your reactions, your standards, and your willingness to remain in situations where you are repeatedly treated badly. That is where real power begins. Not in making everyone respect you, in becoming capable of walking away from disrespect without losing yourself. Machiavelli's world was filled with alliances, ambition, and changing loyalties. Modern life is obviously different, but one lesson remains useful. Do not judge relationships only by appearances. Watch incentives, watch patterns, watch what changes when circumstances change. That does not mean becoming suspicious of everyone. It means becoming observant. You do not need to assume that everyone has a hidden agenda. You simply need to stop ignoring repeated evidence because someone's words sound nice. When respect is real, you usually do not have to keep proving that you deserve it. There is room for disagreement. There is room for mistakes. There is room for boundaries. There is room for growth. And most importantly, there is room for you to be a person rather than a tool. So the next time you wonder whether someone truly respects you, do not focus only on what they say when everything is comfortable. Watch what happens when you say no. Watch what happens when you disagree. Watch what happens when you succeed. Watch what happens when you make a mistake. Watch what happens when you stop being useful. And watch what happens when nobody else is watching. You are not looking for one perfect sign. You are looking for a pattern. Because fake respect can survive a conversation. It can survive a compliment. It can survive a handshake. But it has a much harder time surviving repeated choices. And eventually, those choices tell you everything you need to know.